We have everybody here.
Any time to cover for Valentine's Day.
I'm gonna go ahead and start. Let me get this page turned around. I'm gonna start with the Seminole Airport Authority. Jay, can we get a roll call, please?
Chris Hansen.
Here.
Trace Connor.
Here.
Tim Poplin.
Here.
Eddie Foreman.
Here.
John Kramer.
Here.
Larry Church.
Here.
Corey Crabtree.
Here.
Dana Miller.
Here.
Jeff Griffin. We have a quorum.
Consideration and action of consent agenda.
Second.
Roll call, please, Jay.
Chris Hansen.
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, with no items removed from the consent agenda, are there any petitions or appearances from the audience for the Seminole Airport Authority? I don't think we had any. All right, moving on to current business, consideration and action to approve the intergovernmental agreement between the City of Seminole and the Oklahoma Department of Aerospace and Aeronautics to begin a crack seal project on the runway at Seminole Municipal Airport at a 5% match cost to the city of $9,428.25, a budgeted capital improvement project for fiscal year 2023 to 24.
Gonna seal those cracks, are we?
Move to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please, Jay.
Chris Hansen.
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, with no other items, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, moving on to the Seminole Gas Authority. Can we have a roll call, please, Jay?
Larry Church.
Here.
Tim Poplin.
Here.
Corey Crabtree.
Here.
Dana Miller.
Here.
Trace Connor.
Here.
John Kramer.
Here.
Chris Hansen.
Here.
Eddie Foreman.
Here.
Jeff Griffin. We have a quorum.
All right, consideration and action of consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please, Jay.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Chris Hansen.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, and with no items removed from the consent agenda, and I don't believe we have any appearances or petitions for the Seminole Gas Authority either, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, moving on. The Seminole Municipal Authority, Jay, can we have a roll call for this one, please?
Corey Crabtree.
Here.
Eddie Foreman.
Here.
Tim Poplin.
Here.
Dana Miller.
Here.
Larry Church.
Here.
Chris Hansen.
Here.
John Kramer.
Here.
Trace Connor.
Here.
Jeff Griffin. We have a quorum.
All right, consideration and action of consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second. Roll call, Jay.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Chris Hansen.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, with no items removed from the consent agenda, are there any appearances or petitions from the audience for the Seminole Municipal Authority? Okay, can I get the list for the council as well? Is there anything on it before we start that one, if you don't mind? Do we have anybody on it? Okay, good. All right, moving on to current business. Item 1, consideration and action, possible action to approve Wall Engineering invoice for $56,055.20 for preliminary engineering services associated with the new wastewater treatment plant to be paid via the line of credit loan agreement held by First United Bank.
Motion to approve. Second.
Roll call, please, Jay.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Chris Hansen.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, item 2, consideration and possible action to approve acceptance of the Oklahoma Department of Environmental Quality's permit number ST000067230693, City of Seminole Wastewater Treatment Plant System Improvements, facility number S-20557, for construction of a new wastewater treatment plant and associated facilities.
Move approval.
Second. Roll call, please, Jay.
Corey Crabtree,
Yes.
Eddie Foreman,
Yes.
Tim Poplin,
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Chris Anson,
Yes.
John Kramer,
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, moving on to item 3. Consideration and possible action to approve the acceptance of 9 contractors for bidding for the new wastewater treatment plant as recommended by Wall Engineering in its recommendation letter dated February 1st, 2024.
Move to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please, Jay.
Corey Crabtree,
Yes.
Eddie Foreman,
Yes.
Tim Poplin,
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Chris Anson,
Yes.
John Kramer,
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, moving on to item 4. Consideration and possible action to approve the acceptance of the dedication of easements from the Seminole Economic Development Council for water lines within the Good Hope Road Industrial Park.
Can I get someone to, or Steve, can you explain that to me? The dedication of the easements in that area and why it's needed?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, this is part of a cleanup. When we built the water tower, we obviously ran water lines north and south from it. And when we did that, we ran it across some of the industrial park land that's owned by the Seminole Economic Development Council. So the city of Seminole doesn't own it, and the Economic Development Council is just saying, oh, yeah, fine, take those. We want you to have those easements to be able to do what you need to do in repairs and things like that.
Thank you.
Sure.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please, Jay.
Corey Crabtree,
Yes.
Eddie Foreman,
Yes.
Tim Poplin,
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Chris Anson,
Yes.
John Kramer,
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, with no other business, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? All right, moving on to the Seminole Utilities Authority. Can we have a roll call, please, Jay?
John Kramer,
Here.
Trace Connor,
Here.
Chris Anson,
Here.
Dana Miller,
Here.
Corey Crabtree,
Here.
Tim Poplin,
Here.
Eddie Foreman,
Here.
Larry Church,
Here.
Jeff Griffin. We have a quorum.
All right, consideration and action of consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Can we roll call, please, Jay?
John Kramer,
Yes.
Trace Connor,
Yes.
Chris Anson,
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
Corey Crabtree,
Yes.
Tim Poplin,
Yes.
Eddie Foreman,
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, with no items removed from the consent agenda and no appearances or petitions from the audience, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? All right, looks like we're moving on. All right, moving on to this regular meeting of the Seminole City Council. We need a roll call, please, Jay.
Tim Poplin.
Here.
Corey Crabtree,
Here.
Larry Church,
Here.
Trace Connor.
Here.
Chris Anson,
Here.
Eddie Foreman,
Here.
Dana Miller,
Here.
John Kramer,
Here.
Jeff Griffin. We have a quorum.
If everyone will please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chris, will you do our prayer this evening?
Father in heaven, thank you for the city of Seminole and all those who call Seminole home. Thank you for those who have made Seminole what it is today. Open our minds and hearts as we discuss tonight's business so that we may make the best decisions for the city and its citizens. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
All right, consideration and action of consent agenda.
Motion approved.
Second.
Roll call, please, Jay.
Tim Poplin,
Yes.
Corey Crabtree,
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Trace Connor,
Yes.
Chris Anson,
Yes.
Eddie Foreman,
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, and with no items removed from the consent agenda and no appearances or petitions from the audience, we will move on to open up the public hearing. Who's doing this one? somebody doing?
Yes, we're ready. Just
Okay, yeah.
declare it open and we're ready to go.
We're open, let's go.
All right.
Good evening, everybody. It's my pleasure, Sharon asked if I would introduce our presenter here tonight that's actually doing the hazard mitigation plan for us. About a year ago, you all approved her as the low bidder, or best bidder, I should say, in the process. I think we had at least 3, and there may have been more that actually bid to do this. This is the second time I've been through a hazard mitigation plan, and I can tell you, it's been a pleasure to work with Laura Beth. And God bless her, you know, it's a federal government deal, and it's like shooting ducks at a carnival. The little ducks keep moving all the time. So we've had 2 or 3 different exchanges because something gets kicked back, she learns from somebody else's plan, this isn't gonna work, and we have to do that. Laura Beth, I actually met Laura Beth outside of the hazard mitigation world when I was looking for an organist for our church. And a friend that we have in common, the emergency management director from Moore, Galen, put me on to Laura Beth and said, hey, she's an organist, she might come play your organ. Well, she lives in Yukon, so that didn't work out. But I did have the pleasure when she came over for one of our meetings, that we've had several, she stopped by and played the pipe organ for kind of a little private concert, and it was beautiful. So Laura Beth Marshall has her own firm now. She's L.E. Marshall Consulting, LLC, and she writes hazard mitigation plans. And we are in the final stages. This is part of the process. We met with the schools, had very good participation from the schools. We met with the city folks. We would have liked better. We put a survey out through the city, but we did get responses to the survey, which is what FEMA wants. So with that, I want to let you listen to Laura Beth. She's got a couple of slides for you. And Laura Beth Martin.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ernie.
Well, I appreciate that introduction very much. It was, it's been a pleasure to work with the city of Seminole and get to know your staff and work with everyone, with the schools. You guys have been one of the best jurisdictions I've worked with as far as when I need information. You're just very quick to respond, and I really appreciate that. So for those of you who have not been a part of the hazard mitigation plan before, basically it's a document that gets updated every 5 years through FEMA, and takes account of what do we have, what do we need, and what can we do in the next 5 years is essentially what this plan is going to do. And there's a variety of action items like installing safe rooms, getting new generators, expanding your communication network for mass texting. I mean, it could be a whole gamut of things. Vegetation management to reduce wildfire, anything that has to do with reducing your risk to the natural hazards in your plan. Your plan involves, I should have made the text just a little bit bigger, I'm sorry. The hazard mitigation plan involves, of course, like Ernie said, the city, Seminole Public Schools, and the Academy of Seminole. It identified the needs of all 3 of those jurisdictions, and it also identifies all of the hazards that affect the planning area. And just as a kind of a point of interest, for example, expansive soils, you guys may take that out in 5 years because nobody really has had damages from expansive soils. It's hard to track for sure the damage done by expansive soils, those kinds of things. So in 5 years, that would be a topic to evaluate and say, hey, we just aren't going to worry about that one because it's not like you're going to dig out the whole county and replace it. So those types of things can be changed from update to update. And then the last one is just identifying what projects you'll want to keep from the previous plan and move forward with new ones and so forth. Now, the benefits of having a hazard mitigation plan help your city or your schools, as the case may be, apply for the grants listed there on that list. It includes the hazard mitigation grant funds. That's the money that gets allotted for planning, as well as your safe room projects, siren projects, generator projects, hazard mitigation post-fire grants. Now, BRIC is a new acronym for FEMA. It used to be called pre-disaster mitigation. It's the same thing. But those are the big projects that they are looking for. So if it would be transformative, you have a big transformative project that you're wanting to fund as a city, it may be worth looking into that. It is a long process. It is a commitment, as you guys probably already know, to go through some of those grant processes. And the reason I say it's a 2-year project is if you want a really good grant application, which I have no doubt that you guys have awesome grant applications, but it just takes a lot of time to get those details in and get that wordsmithing done the way they like to see it. Then, of course, there's flood mitigation, and the last two are amendments that can be made to your hazard mitigation plan, and if you have those amendments, it can open up a different pot of grant funding. The city of Shawnee actually added a high hazard potential dam, which I don't think you guys, that would pertain to, but the community wildfire protection plan just would expand your wildfire section. So with that, I don't have anything else, but do you guys have any questions?
Laura Beth, excuse me, I didn't bring my notes, so I don't remember exactly where, but early on in the mitigation plan, it mentioned another organization that was involved with Sportsman Lake. Do you remember that?
I can look it up. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Well, neither do I, that's why I apologize for
I
getting
did
my
bring
notes.
I can pull it up.
It's a soil conservation lake, Eddie.
I understand that, but at least in my reading, it almost implied that this other organization, and it had a Seminole name, was actually the one in charge of the lake. And I thought we, as a city, took care of everything out the lake.
No,
Funded
we,
everything.
and Steve can put the details on this, when we had the dam sloughing off out there, we were really concerned about having to deal with it. And then we found out it was soil conservation, and they came in and took care of it. So,
Yeah.
as far as the water surface, we may have rights or own the land or whatever, but I remember that distinctively because we were concerned about that backside of that dam when they came in.
Well, I'll look it up and call you tomorrow, Steve.
I may add to that, that the Oklahoma Wildlife Department has a lot of say with specific to the lake and what we do inside the lake. For example, at one point, we had considered removing a lot of the trees stumps so that we could make it more boat-friendly, and maybe even have water skiing at some point. And the Wildlife Department has a significant amount of say and stopped us from doing that, so. But if you find out exactly, we'll get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, I'll go back and look, like I
Okay.
said, I'm sorry that
I don't recall what
didn't
it
bring my
said.
notes.
And I can look it up too, but I think you're probably thinking of NRCS.
Well, it specifically has Seminole name. It was not an outside.
I can look it up, actually.
Thank
tonight.
you.
Sure. I also forgot to mention where your plan is in the review process. It's been through the state review. I am making those changes this week, and I'm hoping by the end of next week, I can call Ernie and say, hey, it's on its way to FEMA. So it's very close to that.
Do we run into a problem if we have a natural disaster that was not listed in the hazard mitigation plan?
Problem as in, like,
Earthquake, things of that isn't potentially isn't listed in the plan?
I would have to find out exactly how they handle that, because you do have a hazard mitigation plan, and if it's something that's not ever been experienced in your county, or your town rather, I don't know how they handle that, because you would have your hazard mitigation plan to be able to check that box and say, yes, we did have this disaster that falls under that, so I'm not sure how they would handle that. That's a good question.
I always think in terms of grants, so, you know, if something happened to a city-owned building and knocked it down, and would we be able to go back to the HMP, GP grant and ask for help?
And maybe Ernie has.
Well, I think what we're confusing here, the hazard mitigation grant program is grants that we're wanting to mitigate. Now, you're talking about public assistance or damage or whatever. That would fall under a different umbrella. But as far as coming up, and I don't know, I was going to ask this, can we amend this plan between the 5 years? So if we should experience a large earthquake and it do damage to our buildings, we have earthquakes in our plan, by the way.
Yes.
But say we didn't, okay, then we could amend the plan and come back for hazard mitigation money to redo foundations or something. But right now, the hazard mitigation plan, the item has to be listed in the plan to go after these types of grants to mitigate future damage from that hazard or future results from that hazard.
Good to know. Anything else? Anybody else have any other questions? All right, thank you very much. We appreciate you coming.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Ernie.
Thank you, Ernie.
All right, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing and move on to presentations from the police department for Chief Withers. Come on up. Card on that muzzle.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. How are you, sir? Did a fine job of it, sir.
Steve, does this one work?
Tell your house broke.
Not that I know of.
That's what my ex-wife said about him. Barely.
If not, it's okay. We have the handouts. It just was asking.
One of the earlier ones was a bike rider, and that's how I got into it. It lasted about like those things you put in the bedroom that you pedal on.
Keeps your shadows back.
Yep.
Good evening, folks.
Good evening.
I've been asked to come here and give a little presentation about the happenings at the police department and some crime stats that's been happening throughout the city in the past 3 years. I'd like to have went back further than 3 years, that our report system, and some crimes reported that far back and some of it didn't. I don't know why. It is what it is, and I have to deal with what I was given. The first the first page here is the offenses by most of the crimes that we deal with. I highlighted these. I think they're probably more of the public's concern rather than dealing with every single crime that we deal with. We'd be here for a much longer, a lot longer list. That's kind of brought the ones up here to your attention, to probably what we get asked the most about. And I would like to point out, first of all, in early 2021, is actually approved by the council to hire 2 more police officers through a grant. So just keep that in mind as we're going through this.
And feel free to stop me at any time if you have any questions. I'll do my best to answer them.
I have one question just for clarification before we start.
Yes.
What is the difference on these drug narcotics between equipment violations? What is an equipment violation on?
Paraphernalia.
Okay.
And to answer that for me, no, people may not know, marijuana pipes, meth pipes, syringes, stuff of that nature.
Okay.
Chief, what appears on here, is it crimes that were reported? Is there a difference between a crime that's like, someone calls the police and says this crime happened versus you actually making a report and putting it into your system? Or is it all the same thing?
It's all the same thing.
Okay.
Unless it's a crime that's been reported or we have no victim.
No victim?
Yes. Because you cannot have a crime without a victim, first of all. Now, we may have somebody call in anonymously and say a crime happened, but they're not the victim.
Okay, got it.
So that would be just information report, depending on the severity of the call.
And these, you said here, this one is kind of what you see the most? Or is this all, this is a
No, this is
complete
not
list?
all of them. This is the one that I brought to y'all's attention, is one we get asked about the most.
Okay.
I guess the public would feel would be more important rather than harassment calls and stuff like that.
Can you tell me on here where, so I see this a lot and it's happened to me twice, is people just going into cars and parked cars and taking what's inside? Or does
Yes.
that fall under, or is that on this list?
It'll be on the slide.
Next to the bottom.
Here a little bit later.
Okay, thank you.
Next to the bottom.
And on the second page. There we go, okay. This is the calls for service that we have averaged over the past 3 years. You can see this last year, we were down almost 3,000 calls. On the average, prior 2 years, was over 14,000 calls a year. This year was barely under 11,500. So I don't know really why that is. I was advised by the 911 dispatch who created this for me, who runs that department, that they changed the system around about midway through the year. And he said that there's some calls missing that may be because of that. Because of a new system for them as well.
Chief, can you tell me what that means at the bottom, the community engagement and empowerment?
Yeah, those are just some little key things that I found on the internet regarding why some crimes might be lower or higher at some points, as well as like this, for instance, this calls and service, as to might be why that is what it is. Now, so the community engagement, that very well may be the nosy neighbors. Maybe we have less of them now. They're not calling in stuff as frequently as there was before.
Well, I've been reading that the nationwide average of crime is down probably at a 50-year low right now. No one knows why. But
I think they got wore out during COVID.
I was looking to you for the answer to that. It's sort of astounding to me.
Yeah, during the COVID, the domestics and burglaries went way up.
Chief, can you explain on community policing? I know that's one of the reasons, possible reasons, but can you just really quickly tell me, like, what do you and your officers do for community policing?
Well, there's I've been trying to hire, I guess you'd say, a little bit more outgoing officers. And this newer generation that's coming aboard now has been pounded into their head to quit trying to be that stiff as a board officer and be direct and all that stuff. They get to a certain point where, they just don't like dealing with the public after so many years. That this newer generation coming up is different breed of officers, and they're more engaged with the public more apt to get out of the patrol car and go play basketball with the kids or whatever.
Okay, thank you.
And this next slide is the number of arrests that the Seminole Police Department has made for the past 3 years. And we're currently down about 125 arrests.
That's good.
And this is the category which you was asked about. Is
Okay.
vehicle burglaries.
Yep.
Yes. Been here from,
It's going
it's
down.
gonna be like with the seventh one down from a motor vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Past 2 years previous, we averaged 30-something and 32, 26. And in 2023, we only had 17 vehicle burglaries.
I think that's probably where your number of officers and number of people patrolling kind of comes into play. You're
It
seeing a
really
lot
helps
more,
with
they're
the
scared to
number
do
of
what they
officers that
want
we
to do.
have.
Yeah.
I've been able to put about 3 per shift. Well, 2 per shift and one that's what I call a split shift, which gives us 3 out for the majority of the peak hours. And those officers are assigned certain districts through the town. And that way we don't have 2 officers up in the same north part of town or same, south side of town. We have 1 in each, and then the split shift with usually the supervisor will go in between.
Well, we gotta look out, looks like purse snatching is on the rise.
I don't think in my 24 years, I've only had maybe 1 legitimate purse snatching.
Mhm.
And
Popular on
I'm just
TV.
saying, one to be on the safe side.
Walk around TV.
Yeah, I took the liberty to map these crimes out there up on top of the burglary of where they have happened in this past year. This is only from 2023 of where they happened throughout the city. And that you can see that's pretty much dispersed throughout no particular hard-hit area.
Okay.
Then next slide is how many we've averaged burglaries over the past 3 years. 2021 was a very busy year for that. As you can see, we had 77 reported burglaries. The next year, it was cut in half, and this past year, we only had 33. And again, this is mapping out the burglaries, breaking and entering that's been reported. And next slide is the drug and narcotics violations reports that we have taken or arrest. This is mainly going to be arrest that was made throughout the city. There's not too many people who call their neighbors for drug violations. And this is the mapped area of stolen vehicles that were reported. I can say probably 99% of this is going to be juveniles, young adults joyriding. Not necessarily just go steal a car, chop situation.
Chief, are you finding that these criminals who do these, are they from here? Are they coming from another town?
It appears to be that a lot of these, like, vehicle burglaries are from out of towns.
Do we know which town, or is there a specific one?
Wewoka Holdenville seems to be the majority of where they come from. They're actually stolen vehicles, they could be local. Usually it's just joyriding, we just go ahead and drive around for the night. and usually dump the vehicles, and we recover them within 24 or 48 hours.
Are those unlocked vehicles mainly?
Yes.
That they stealing them?
Yes.
Keys left in them?
Just this past weekend, we've had 2 stolen cars here in town, and then 3 just outside of city limits. So a total of 5 cars in one night. Every single one of them had keys in it and unlocked.
That's it. Next.
Never lose your key.
No. I kind of thought it was a funny note, was one of our undercover cars that was just surplus last year was sold, and it was actually stolen and found and recovered in Utah. So I thought that was, I'm glad I cut disassembled the lights off of it so they would not work. But, that Utah Police Department called. Does it belong to you? I said, no, I already surplus that.
Whoever
We didn't
bought
think it would make it to
No,
Utah
I did not.
when we surplused it.
Yeah, don't tell.
Yeah. Actually, the
Too
person
soon.
bought it was surprised it made it off out of the fenced-in area. So.
I'm sure they had to work on it on the way up there.
And this last slide here is weapons law violations. It's going to be felons in possession of firearms mainly, and/or crimes committed while the person is in possession of a firearm.
Pretty spread out.
Means everybody's got a gun.
There's a lot out there. But most of the people that carry them are good law-abiding citizens. So.
Don't mess it up.
And that is all I have. You have any questions or?
I think we
So-
probably asked her. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
So Chief, there's, on the drug narcotics, and I'm actually trying to like map out like my ward. There's a lot in Ward 1. So do your statistics dictate, I know you said you try to keep it kind of, your patrolling kind of evenly dispersed throughout the city, but is there, I don't know, I guess, I don't know if my question is more of,
Could you concentrate on
could
this area?
could you concentrate in Ward 1 for drug narcotics, and
In my
how do
ward,
we, or is that a
Control dope,
possibility? How many officers you said you have out at any time?
I have 2 assigned per shift, 7 a.m., 7 p.m., 7 p.m., and 7 a.m. When we are fully staffed, there'll be a lieutenant or supervisor that typically work from noon till midnight. During the busy months, summer, fall, that supervisor would usually work about from 2 p.m. until 2 a.m.
So at any given time, there's only 2 officers driving around
For
throughout
sure,
town?
yes.
Are there, like Light Horse? Do you know if they're patrolling, and do you work with them because you have
Yeah, it
agreements?
seems like when we go to a major call, there's always at least one shows up.
Okay,
I can't say if they has to have one station around here or not.
Mhm.
I know they've been very busy and we walk here lately. And, so, it's hard for me to say that, but we work well with them. And I don't think that they have anybody stationed here like they do in Weehawken, because they know that, we're going to handle it. And if we need their help, we'll call and they'll be there.
okay. So it's a good working relationship?
Yes.
Okay.
So the drug narc violations are interception, interdiction, or public use, or what is getting the most of?
A lot of personal use.
Personal use?
Yes. There's
Public?
there's quite a few that's not personal use that are distributing, that I did not put on here and that was not going to map out because that was still being investigated, especially something over the latter half of last year. So, every time we go do a drug raid or something like that, you know, it's always good for the community. And I tend to shoot, city manager a text, and maybe we took down another one.
Uh-huh.
We're usually up to date on that.
You want to say anything about recruitment? This is your opportunity.
About recruitment? Yeah. That's a hard, touchy subject right now. I mean, currently, we're down two officers. We were down 3. I just hired another one today, officially. And he'll be hitting the road this Saturday. He's uncertified, so it's going to take about 8 months before he's on his own, at least 8 months, if not for longer than that. Do have another good candidate tomorrow that we're interviewing. And it's just hard to come by, getting officers. It's not local, it's nationwide. My brother is a police chief down in San Antonio at Alamo, and even him down there is having trouble getting officers down there.
So what is the solution to that? More pay, more,
I would have to say yes. I mean, pay does have a lot to do with it, of course.
mhm.
But just, the police have gotten a bad rap over the past several years, and there's not a whole lot of people that's interested in doing it. Starting to see a slow trend, very slow trend of people wanting to get into it.
John, back on the community policing piece, have you, well, obviously, we would love to see more stop and talk. You know, when you see people walking, you're kind of talking to them. Have you thought at all about bicycles and bicycle programs, especially in Ward 1?
Yes.
She served you up a softball. I thought you were going to hit
I
it.
was headed that way. I'm like, okay.
Go ahead.
Well, first of all, when it comes to bicycles, I mean, it's a great tool, especially for community policing and catching crimes in the act, because they're quiet. But first of all, you try to get the officers to wear those shorty shorts is another battle in itself. But you also find some that are in shape enough to do it. And it came up with my idea. That's when I brought to Mr. Saxon that when we surplus the bicycles that we have that are pedal power. So they got these great new tools out there that are electric bicycles. Still have pedals, but we can get 60 miles out of charge of it, and it'll sure help these officers get up and down these hills. And I'd love to bring that program back stronger than it was before. And I do have at least 3 officers that are interested in doing that. And that would be, and they are the younger officers that are more community policing oriented minded officers.
I think it's a wonderful idea because you're saying a lot of the kind of the crimes that, you know, they're kind of non-violent crimes like breaking into cars and joyriding. Those are kids who are doing them, or at least younger people who are doing them.
That's the one
And
I
those-
used up.
The intervention though with the interaction with the officer, you know, if they know them or, you know, who knows, maybe you could do some recruiting there. I think that would be awesome too. But I don't know. I also think there's something in here too, and I know it sounds a little silly to talk about, but also in Ward 1, and I don't see this in here anywhere, but it's just a lot of trash and people just chunking trash out. Do you write tickets for that, or do you just, because you only got 2 people out, you probably not, you don't have a lot of time
We
to
see
do
it,
that.
absolutely. Yeah, we see it, they do. I mean, I can count on both my hands how many times in 24 years I've actually caught somebody littering.
Really?
They see the police car, they don't look.
Yeah.
They don't, or.
They have to drive off.
Or something like that. And, yeah, that's a pet peeve of mine, along with not getting a turn signal. Sorry, throwing trash out the window.
On the bicycling, how can we help you with that, getting that program going again?
That is something I put on my, going to be on my CIP list.
Okay.
Is to purchase a couple of these electric bicycles. We'll get more information on it right now.
Okay.
I know it's a growing trend. The larger departments are going to that.
I'm just, looking at this, I'm really, the burglary and break-ins, I don't think I'm doing a great job of mapping this out, but, 12 are in Ward 1, that's the majority. 16 are in Ward 1, that's the majority. So there's a trend. 6 are in Ward 1, I think if you break those two up, that might be the majority. I don't know about weapons law violations. But so there's a trend there for Ward 1, so we need your help, I think is what I'm saying, and what I'm asking for. I don't know how we do that, other than more police officers. The community policing, I think, is gonna be really helpful. Do you have any ideas?
I know it's my policy that I ask my officers to give me 2 traffic stops per day per officer that they work. And one of them needs to be in the neighborhood, not back here on Millfields, regular, anything like that, well traveled. It's been proven, the more red and blue lights you have in a troubled neighborhood, the less crime.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a fact. I learned that from the ex-Aurora police chief, with the class of his. He's the one who gave me that idea. And I tell by the statistics, a lot of our burglaries up are cut in half over the past 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all it is, the police officers out there doing the job.
Yeah, and I see quite a bit in Ward 1. It's just, and we can
But
talk
never
later
good
on.
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
Well, don't we
Whatever I
have
can do
most
to
of the impoverished people in town living in Ward 1?
Well, I think Seminole overall is, the poverty level is,
Oh, I know, but, I mean, as far as how it's distributed though in town, most of it seems to be in Ward 1, at least to me. And poverty breeds crime. You don't know where you're gonna sleep tonight or whether you're gonna have anything to eat. You might go steal something to compensate. And, I think that's true wherever you go. So, the second best thing is the patrolling. I think the best thing is to, an investment in the community.
Chief Tim Poplin was wondering, how much do those Reno 911 shorts cost?
Last time I bought some was 35,
35,
roughly
okay.
$35.
It's got them by the inch.
He wants a pair with the Seminole emblem on the back.
I'm sorry.
well, Chief, I just want to thank you for putting this together. This is helpful, and I would like to offer any help that I can do to,
And vice
assist
versa,
you.
if you got some
in
ideas, open ears.
Yeah, because crime, when it happens to you, it's not funny. It's no joke. And when you are trying to make the best of your neighborhoods in your town, and I think about the Arts Council and the things they did for Chase Park and had to take it down because of vandalism. It's one step forward, one step back because of crime, and it's frustrating. But I hope it doesn't deter, like Larry said, people investing in our town. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Chief.
All right, moving on to approvals and acceptances, bids and purchasing. Consideration and possible action to approve the low bid of $21,120 from White's Roofing to replace the roof at the Seminole Animal Shelter to be funded with insurance proceeds from the May 2022 tornadoes.
Move approval.
Second.
Roll call, please, Jay.
Tim Poplin,
Yes.
Corey Crabtree,
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Trace Connor,
Yes.
Chris Anson,
Yes.
Eddie Foreman,
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, under bids and surplus, consideration and possible action to approve declaring as surplus and soliciting bids for 4 2010 to 2011 Cannondale Fatty bicycles at the Seminole Police Department. Guess we're giving them away, that's what you're thinking.
Yeah. You don't know what I'm thinking.
I could read you. What was your comment? No, you-
Yeah, just a question, are these the bicycles that were in the original program? That
Yes,
Chief had just mentioned? And so
yes.
they're no longer useful?
Well, they're in excellent condition. The problem is, until you start riding a bicycle, you don't know how many hills Seminole has. And it just turned out to be not practical. We thought it was a great idea. I think everybody thought it was a great idea, but they couldn't do enough miles in a day to get enough impact of what we were trying to do. So that's why the suggestion is that we go to an electric motorized combination of pedaling and motorized. So we're trying to surplus these now. They're in good condition. We expect to get a good price for them.
Okay, thank you.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please, Jay.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Right, item 3, consideration and possible action to approve declaring as surplus and soliciting bids for a 2001 Ram 3500 truck, VIN number 1738 at the Seminole Fire Department.
Second.
Roll call, please, Jay.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, moving on to ordinances. Item 4, consideration and possible action to approve ordinance number 1295, an ordinance addressing animal sheltering, control, and welfare by amending Title 4 of the City of Seminole Code of Ordinances.
Before we vote, I just want to say thank you to Chief Withers for leading up this change in the ordinance. He was trying to keep everybody in line and get them to come to meetings, and I think it was great. And thank you to Brad as well and everyone else who volunteered.
You want to make that motion?
Sure.
Second.
Roll call, please, Jay.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Right, moving on to item 5, consideration and possible action to approve the emergency clause associated with ordinance number 1295 above.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, Jay.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 6, consideration and possible action to approve ordinance number 1296, an ordinance vacating a portion of Spear Avenue in Parks Edition. Where is that?
So if you're familiar with the old Independent Tank site, this is actually a street that cuts through to another street that's non-existent. So it's an original plat. I mean, it's old. Sharon, do you remember what year that was platted? No telling. It's out of date. It's obsolete, and there's no road, so.
Just an old tank
I
yard.
just never heard of Spear Avenue, so just kind of curious. So,
It's just a dirt road,
It's probably
2 dirt
Kenneth
roads.
Spear. Move to approve.
Second.
roll call, please, Jay.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 7, consideration and possible action to approve ordinance number 1297, an ordinance vacating a portion of Cravens Avenue in Parks Edition.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, Jay.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 8, consideration and possible action to approve ordinance number 1298, an ordinance rezoning the former USA Tank property from I-2, restricted light industrial, to R2, two-family dwelling, to allow residential homes to be constructed on the property.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, Jay.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
John Kramer. Motion passes.
Item 9, consideration and possible action to approve ordinance number 1299, an ordinance rezoning the former USA Tank property from I-3 Heavy Industrial to I-2 Restricted Light Industrial to create a buffer zone between Blue Wave boats and the new housing addition.
Exactly where would the buffer zone be?
Just on the north fence of where the current Blue Wave Boats property is.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any other questions?
No.
Okay. Go ahead, roll call, Jay.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, moving on, moving on to current business. Item 10, consideration and possible action to approve the annual master services agreement with Electric Service Company for performing electrical repair services for the city's water wells and wastewater treatment plant. You guys happy with them? Good?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Move to approve.
Roll call, Jay.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, item 11, consideration and possible action to approve the lease agreement with the Seminole State College Educational Foundation for the Little League Baseball at the Seminole State College baseball fields from April 8th to June 20th of 2024 for the amount of $16,000.
Move to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please, Jay. Did you
Tim
have something?
Poplin.
Hang
Yes.
on. You want it signed today?
Yes.
Can you give me the authorization to sign that contract in the motion?
Yeah, who made the motion?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you can, once it's voted, you sign.
This Vice Mayor can sign.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead and do the roll call.
Okay. Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
John Kramer. Motion passes.
Item 12, consideration and possible action to approve the proposal for the Seminole Independence Day fireworks show in the amount of $10,000 for 13 to 15 minutes or $15,000 for 20 to 23 minutes.
I have a question. So I believe last year I asked if we could look into an alternative for the fireworks, a drone light show. Was there any, did anyone look into those and look at the pricing for that?
Yeah, so Sean's looked at that. There's a lot more to it than I suspected, especially in terms of software. They are coming down, so I think there will be a day where we can afford it, but right now it's just cost prohibitive, and I don't remember exactly the number. There are so many businesses doing it, but they get to go do multiple shows for the expense, and it would be basically cost prohibitive for us to do that.
So-
15,000 is not going to touch it.
Really?
No.
Okay.
Man.
Yeah, on the fireworks show, thank you, Steve, for that, is Chamber of Commerce, do they pay a portion of it, or is this just all city dollars?
This is,
To my knowledge, they haven't participated. Now, they've used the Tourism Council income from the hotel motel tax in the past,
Mhm.
and the American Legion has also kicked in some from time to time. But no, the question, I don't think they've got the wherewithal to be able to do that.
So this is just all city-sponsored?
Yes, ma'am. You may recall that in the hotel motel tax election, it was actually on the ballot that some of that money would be dedicated to the 4th of July festival.
Okay, so it's already, we're just approving it. Because I think about $10,000 for 15 minutes. We could use that at Chase Park, or we could use that somewhere else that would last. What is it?
I totally agree. It just kills me, but
Yeah.
I get it. It's important.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm assuming in this motion, we need to have a motion to approve the 10 or the 15, or are we giving you authorization to do whichever?
No, I need which program do you want?
Okay.
Well, it just costs $5,000 more to go first class. Let's do that. I move that we do the 15,000 for 23 minutes. I don't want to get up, put my clothes on in a cold night for 15 minutes of fun.
Second.
All right, Jay, we have a first and a second for 15,000 for 20 to 23 minutes of excitement. That does. So,
All
a
right.
roll call, please.
Tim Poplin,
Yes.
Corey Crabtree,
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Trace Connor,
Yes.
Chris Hansen,
Yes.
Eddie Foreman,
Yes.
Dana Miller,
No.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion for the 15,000 for 20 to 23 minutes passes.
Thank you for the clarification. Item 13, consideration and possible action to approve the annual Title III Nutrition Site Agreement with New Age Project Incorporated for the nutrition program at Seminole Heritage House.
Move to approve. That's important.
Yeah, that's my free lunch on Friday.
We need a roll call so Larry can keep having lunches.
Tim Poplin,
Yes.
Corey Crabtree,
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Trace Connor,
Yes.
Chris Hansen,
Yes.
Eddie Foreman,
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
John Kramer. Motion passes.
You'll get to enjoy the pleasures of old age one of these days.
All right, item 14, consideration and possible action to approve closing Main Street from Broadway to Seminole and Oak and Evans Streets from Main to the alleyways for the Baden Oklahoma Festival to be held Saturday, April 6th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Road closures to begin at 5 p.m. on Friday, April 5th.
Move to approve.
Second.
Roll call, Jay?
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Corey Crabtree,
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Trace Connor,
Yes.
Chris Hansen,
Yes.
Eddie Foreman,
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
John Kramer. Motion passes.
Moving on to item 15, consideration and possible action to approve up to $5,000 from the public beautification budget to be dedicated to the Seminole Arts Council for a public art mural in Seminole.
Move to approve.
So,
Can we ask her what it will be?
There you go. I think before you just blanket
I've already-
approval, I think.
already done
I want to
that.
be nosy and
Y'all
find
can
out
just
what
say
it is.
yes, I mean,
Apolitical.
We were going
I
to.
do appreciate it.
You're not gonna sit there
Pass
for an
it
hour
through
and
the
talk.
park board.
What's that?
Pass it through the park board.
So
We could paint so many murals with that.
this year, the mural process isn't quite like it was last year. Last year, we came to you guys with a design and said, hey, can you help us pay for half of this? And it was kind of closer to the end of the year. This year is a jump start. We've taken an application for artist submissions. We have 12 interested artists from all over the state ready to come paint in Seminole. Need walls, still working on that. The deadline for the wall search is the end of March. After the end of March, we're hoping the artist will confer with us to help decide which wall would be best. Then we'll work with the artist to, when we decide the artist, we'll look at their style and we'll decide whose style fits best with our community. And then we'll bring that design to you guys when we have it. We will pay for everything up until the point of it being painted. Once the mural is painted, after you guys have approved the design and everything, then the artist will invoice the city for that $5,000 that we're asking for.
Okay.
So you guys will be involved throughout the process.
Steve, I have a question. When she says they're looking for buildings, are there city buildings that we could have murals put on, or is that something we would have to vote on, or How would that work?
Probably. I've toured with them before and kind of thought through what, one in particular that I thought would be really nice would be the green building that is at the railroad tracks across from the Mexican food restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
The gray building,
the green.
is it green?
It's green.
Okay. A lot of the issues with some of the walls in our downtown area in the older part of Seminole is that the wall, the quality of the wall themselves were not ever meant to be exposed to exterior elements, and they've been painted over, and they're falling apart. The brick is degrading. You see the mural over here by the bus station, that was the same situation. All that brick that was painted on was interior brick for interior walls, not for exterior, whether. So, I do have ideas for that specific space too. I know now is not the time or place, but, I would also like to say that this mural program that we're starting is gonna be like one mural a year. There is a traveling mural festival that the founder was in our community painting the last mural. The Hope Bird by Courtney Miller, Virginia Sites was her assisting artist, and she's actually one of the founding members of the Sunny Days Mural Festival. So she's here, she's acquainted with our community, and she knows me and she knows us, so she's very excited to come back. Ponca City, where Courtney's from, who was the artist for the last mural, Sunny Days is gonna be in Ponca City, where Courtney's from this year. So I'm hoping to go visit them and kind of get to know that program a little better. If we could get the space, if we could have city buildings, or if we have like a multitude of walls, we could pay them to bring that mural festival, they're $25,000, $30,000, and get 30 murals in one weekend.
Oh, my God.
We could transform the entire district if we had the funds and the walls to do so. It's definitely on my radar, maybe a 2 or 3 year project. I do believe they have a waiting list of communities wanting to be visited by Sunny Days, so, but yeah.
Never heard of that. That's cool.
Yeah.
I like the murals myself.
Yeah, I think, and we kind of have been going with this bird theme. The bird theme may be sticking around for a while, just FYI, we like it. And the totems that you see in other towns, like the foxes and the horses, we've been kind of leaning into the idea of a feather for the future someday too. So I'm just taking advantage of having the microphones.
Thank you for the clarification. We appreciate it.
Thanks for the work.
All right. We had a motion and a second, I believe.
We do.
So let's go ahead and do a roll call, please, Jay.
Tim Poplin,
Yes.
Corey Crabtree,
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Trace Connor,
Yes.
Chris Anson,
Yes.
Eddie Foreman,
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, we do have an addendum to the agenda. This is item number 16. Consideration and possible action to approve the interlocal cooperative agreement with the Board of the Seminole County Commissioners to support the temporary relocation of the Seminole County District Court or part thereof to the City of Seminole's municipal building.
So moved.
Roll call, please, Jay.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Corey Crabtree,
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Chris Anson,
Yes.
Eddie Foreman,
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right. We're gonna move on to remarks and inquiries. Do we want to do this before the executive session, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Mayor is not here, but I'll start off with myself since I'm vice mayor tonight. I appreciate the murals. I think they look great. I don't know, it's a lot of color to see driving down the road. I'm kind of that, I was an artsy person at a young age, but not anymore. I just don't have it in me, but give me a house, I'll fix it up and I'll paint it, but not a mural. But I appreciate that. That's a lot of work. I don't know, that building, last one they did with all the lines in that building and the way the board was, I couldn't have imagined painting that thing, but anyway, I appreciate it. I think it adds to our city, so.
there's graffiti across the street, but not on the mural?
Let's keep it that way. Keep patrolling the area, please. Other than that, I really don't have anything else. I do appreciate the patrolling. I've been seeing a lot of patrol in our neighborhood, just driving by. And luckily, they don't have to stop a lot, but just seeing them drive by is really helpful. And they even had one stopped coming up Northwood Hill, that little dip before you get to Carson the other day, and I thought, oh, man, that lady just pulled right over at the bottom of the hill, and they had her stop right there. But I appreciate it. I think it helps a lot. I think that's probably a lot of the decrease in crime, just visible, just being visible, so. We're gonna move on to, let's do it in order. Ward 1, Larry Church.
I have nothing,
What? Okay.
except to thank everyone for all the hard work that they've done for our community. I mean, you heard the lady say that she comes here to work, she gets an instantaneous response practically from our staff. And thank y'all for that.
All right. Dana?
I just want to thank city staff. We're working towards getting Johns Park updated with the disc golf course. I saw that notice today and was really excited. And I just think it's those things like that, that are really going to reinvigorate not only Ward 1, but the whole city, and attract young people who want to come here and hang out and appreciate our town. So just wanted to say thank you to you and your team for helping with that. That's all I have.
All right. Ward 2, John Kramer. Mr. Eddie Foreman.
Nothing, thank you.
Welcome. Tim Popham.
Thanks to all the workers, man. They knock it out, keep everything running. That's about it, thanks.
All right. Chris Hansen. Trace?
I'll say thanks to all the healthcare workers and all the teachers that have been dealing with all this flu and everything. I know at Northwood, they had like 8 of 12 teachers that were out with the flu, so that was really devastating to some of our staff there, and all the urgent care and all the health workers that are dealing with all this stuff now. And tomorrow's Valentine's Day, so if you got a sweetheart or somebody you love, give them something. That's all I got. Chocolate.
Chocolate. All right, city manager.
Baseball and softball signups are about to start. When, John?
We're doing our 4th one Thursday.
Thursday. Be sure and get your name in the pot if you want to have youth playing baseball and softball. Make your plans now. It's almost tornado season. Have a plan. Let's don't wait till it's on us. You need to know what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, and what your loved ones are going to have as their plan if you're not there. Made in Oklahoma, I think we just covered April the 6th. We did already had a public hearing with regard to the urban renewals plan to deal with Main Street. You may recall there were $700,000 appropriated to them to take something downtown and make it transformative, to use that word. The current plan on the table is to fix the sidewalks and to pave over the bricks. The first hearing that we had surprised me. It was the vast majority had no problem with paving over the bricks. Only one person said, hey, can we save some of the crosswalks and at least make a reference toward the historic. So I would tell you that we're going to have at least 2 more hearings. The next hearing is on February the 20th, and this one we're going to have in the morning. We're trying to spread them throughout different times of the day so everybody can participate. It'll be February the 20th, 10 a.m. for the public hearing on the Urban Renewal Main Street program. You read in your packet that DEQ has signed off on our sewer plant. We're super excited that we've got 9 bidders. And boy, we're really, really nervous about the price tag. Everybody around Oklahoma that we've had bidding lately, it's been much more expensive than when we started this process. So we're a little bit nervous, but we're encouraged that 9 companies picked up the packet. The Boomtown Playground install, been a little bit delayed. I think the last time I reported to you, it was probably going to be mid-February, looks like mid-March. when that install will begin. So be thinking, it's that time of year. He calls it the most wonderful time of the year where we start our budget sessions. And so be thinking specifically about your wards and any improvements that you think we might need to make with the capital improvement money that we've got. It will be scaled down from last year in terms of available money, but we're going to do what we can to impact the lives of our people. Entertainment Center, we had a great meeting this morning. We're underway with all the planning that goes into it. The minutia is mind-numbing, but we're going to get there. And so we're pretty excited with some of the things that we saw this morning. I don't know when we're going to see the final plan. We've got a lot of things to work on. My main concern at this point is staffing. You know, what do the numbers look like in terms of how many people are we going to have to employ and what are the hours going to be, things like that. So, but the design, I think, is progressing more quickly than that. So we're encouraged on that. You may have seen, or maybe it was just to me, but I just kind of got put on notice from our code enforcement folks that the homeless situation is not okay. It's growing quickly. We don't have a plan. In fact, everyone from Seattle to Miami, from San Diego to Maine have no plan. We don't know how to deal with this as a society. We've never been through the level of homelessness that is being experienced right now. So we're open to ideas. It's something that we need to pay attention to. We need the solution. The magic bullet for rural Oklahoma, I don't have it. There's no secret sauce for it, and we're open to ideas. It's probably going to take some money in some form. The only thing I would caution you is that in visiting with the other city managers around Oklahoma, the ones who have appropriated money and started taking action, it ended up being an attractive thing to the homeless population. And they tend to relocate where they know that they're going to be able to get services. So, man, I don't have it. I don't have the solution. We're still working on it. But if you come up with something, we'd love to hear it. That's all I've got.
All right, city attorney. All right. With that being said, we need a motion to enter into executive session. All in favor? Any opposed?
I sounded enthused on that one.